Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16mm Film Crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
You can watch us on YouTube, but you can like and comment on our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16mm Film Crew Podcast, and you can visit us on our website at www.16mmfilmcrew.com. This week, we watched Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh. When his beloved wife, Catherine, is suspected of betraying the nation, intelligence agent George Woodhouse faces the ultimate test: loyalty to his marriage or his country. This cast includes Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, Marissa Alba, Tom Burke, Naomi Harris, Regé Jean Page, and Pierce Brosnan. So, what did you think about this film, Dale?
I mean, it's a Soderbergh picture. This is I think Soderbergh to me is very much very dialogue driven director. This movie is not really action heavy, which you'd expect from a spy or noir thriller. It's so I guess for some people it wouldn't draw them in enough, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, this is his strength, and the interplay between both Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender. It reminded me very much of Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing, but not really heavy, but not really action heavy. Um, so I enjoyed it. I love like the kind of the red herring drop of you thinking it's gonna be Tom Burke's character, which I'm a Tom Burke fan. Like I wish they never canceled the Three Musketeers show he was in on the BBC, but they did. So it's been a while since I've seen a Tom Burke project. And of course you got Rene Jean Page in there, who doesn't really get as he's a growing actor, he hasn't really had a chance to showcase himself in a lot of projects outside of this. We've seen him, of course, in Bridgerton, and of course the Bob Marley One Love picture. He really, really gets to showcase his acting talents. But yeah, wonderful performances across the board. It worked perfectly for the type of movie you're dealing with. The subtlety and interplay of kind of trying. It's more acting on a facial feature kind of level, like showing ticks or showing hands, more so than broad strokes. It's more about the subtlety of it, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, I love this film. Um, I think that as I continue to watch more movies, I really know like what specifically draws me in as an audience member, and it's definitely like the writing, it's the dialogue, it's the performances, it's also like the subtlety of certain things. I like a more subtle kind of um way that things are explained. Like I like in Game of Thrones, my favorite parts were not like the dragons and stuff. It was definitely like the conversations that characters would have with each other, the politicking. Like those are the type of things that I really enjoy. So like trying to get to the bottom of this mystery of like what is going on. Um, I really enjoy that stuff. So in a way, this movie was very much made for me. Like I was very like into it. The cinematography is great. Um, and it's just like really fun to see like great actors who you've been watching probably your whole life, like just in a very insular environment. Like they're only in like a couple of places. And just seeing how they play off of each other. And I love the thing I love the most about this film was that it's just tea. Like it's just characters dragging each other to filth like throughout the
Yeah,
whole movie and spilling tea. Like they were like the plot is drama. So have a seat. Like this is where you're in for. And I love that. I love that this movie was just like people being messy. It's just fun. Like I just love that Steven Soderbergh just made like a fun movie about like these international spies just like being the messiest people in the entire world and they all work together. So like they all have to interact together. That's great.
yeah,
That's just a joyous thing.
yeah. Soderbergh to me, I look at him. I have him on par as far as writing ability as Aaron Sorkin. Like Aaron Sorkin is known for those long sweeping scenes of dialogue, exposition, but it flows from scene to scene perfectly. And this movie reminds me very much of that from him. Particularly we've seen that before with him. Especially with the Ocean's trilogy, Ocean's 11 through I think 12 or 13, where the plot is what matters behind the scenes, but it's the interactions between every character is what pushes the plot forward. There's no massive plot device where everybody goes, "Oh, this step, then this step, then this step." No, it's how they all interplay with each other, pushing them, which pushes the movie forward. Which, like I said before, very few directors have that gift where they can rely on just the characters interacting without relying on action set pieces or something happening to help push the plot forward.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's true, like, usually directors need, like, the big thing to kinda
Yeah.
get things going, and the fact that, like, it's just these people just in and out of each other's lives, just doing insane things, and, like, I really did like the mystery of it, because I wasn't sure what was going on or, like, who was the, like, betrayer or the traitor to the UK.
Yeah.
Like, it's very it's interesting because, like, I thought it was Cate Blanchett the whole time, but I also think that it's because this movie came out, like, a few months after the Alfonso Cuarón show came out, where Cate Blanchett is playing a character by the same name who in the beginning is doing kinda shady things or kinda looks shady, even though
Mhm.
in the end, that's not how it ends up, but, like, in the beginning, it very much is like, "Can you trust this person?" And I think Cate Blanchett is a perfect cast for this, like, a person to do this role because she does have this, like, mystery and allure around her where it's like you don't really know anything about her,
Mhm.
and so I think she can really play a certain kind of note where it's like, you're not sure if you can trust her because she's, like, beautiful and elusive, but, like, it wasn't actually her, and I actually enjoyed the fact that, like, at the end of the day, it was about these 2 people who cared about their marriage so much that, like, they were willing to go to bat for each other, and in that way, it was very much like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I really enjoyed. So, like, I love that they kept, like, flipping your expectations about, like, what you thought was gonna happen, who you thought it was gonna be, and at first I thought it was a girl who played Amy Winehouse, but it didn't end up being her either, and, like, I don't know, it was just, like, it was very much like a guessing game of, like, it could be this person, but it could be that person also, and so I like that they kinda kept me on my toes with it,
Mhm.
but the fact that, like, they all work together and they all needed something from each other, like, each person works in a different department where it's like, you have to communicate if you wanna get a certain thing done, so it kinda kept things going because everybody was, like, essential in terms of, like, what and unraveling this mystery of, like, who it was, so that was really fun. Again, I don't know why I keep using the word fun, but, like, it was
It
like,
was fun. It
I
was
was
fun.
thoroughly
Yeah.
entertained when I
Yeah.
was watching this.
It's like watching like one of those Agatha Christie mysteries in a
Yes.
way, or
Yes.
watching like a live action version of like Clue play out.
Yes. Yes.
And you're along with the ride as Michael Fassbender is sussing out what's happening. I think it's not your typical spy slash action thriller. We have Day of the Jackal playing on streaming platforms. It's not like your James Bond. It's not like funny enough, not like your James Bond, and you have Pierce Brosnan there,
Mhm.
as Q almost, which is the
Mhm.
thing. It's not doesn't play in a typical vein of those kind of spy thrillers, but it still works. Like I love the interplay between Michael Fassbender and Kate Blanchett. Those two work perfectly together
Yeah.
because Michael Fassbender's character has a steely demeanor. Reminds me almost like of course there's a sequel coming for but The Accountant. How when Ben Affleck in The Accountant is serious, he becomes very stoic and quiet. Michael Fassbender is the whole time very stoic and quiet, whereas Kate Blanchett is able to weave to being aloof and funny and also serious. That it works for both of them, wonderful. Then you have that, I love when you have cast together eating at meals. I like the initial blow up between Tom Burke's character Freddie and Marissa Alba playing Clarissa, his young, girlfriend, like that dynamic of older guy dating a younger woman and she's not vibing what he's doing. That whole like messy drama shit was
Yeah,
so
it's
good
good.
to watch, yeah.
It's so good. That's what I'm saying, like, that initial dinner scene really sets you up for, like, what you're in for,
Yeah,
and I just love that it was just them, like, just reading each other, like, clearing each other at this dinner
yeah,
in front of one another. It was fabulous. Like, I was, like, truly living for every moment, and then when she, like, stabs him in the hand, I was like, "Yeah, yes, girly.
yeah.
I believe in that." My favorite character in this was Naomi Harris. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is about her. I am obsessed with her. Like I was like, yes, like she's so like interesting in terms of like as an actress because she the roles that she gets or she chooses to do. Like I don't see her in a lot of things, but the things that I do see in her in, I love her, and she's such a good actress. And I feel like she's not like always like front and center out there, so you
Mm,
don't see her all the time. But like when you do see her in movies, I'm just like, yes, you are amazing. And
yeah,
the fact that she was also in James Bond, wasn't she? She was,
yeah.
yeah, she was Penny
It's Moneypenny and
Moneypenny, yeah,
and the Daniel
in the
Craig.
Daniel Craig
Yeah,
series. Which also I think that it felt like a very, like, clever nod to those movies in a funny way, and
yeah,
I just thought that was cute just to cast people from that world.
yeah,
But, the fact that she is, like, messing with Ray J and also having a little rendezvous with Tom Burke and, like, the fact that, like, Michael Fassbender conceals certain information at certain times in order to, like, keep the plot going. Because if he was just like, "Well, obviously it's you who's, like, who's messing with Tom Burke," it would be like, you know,
mm,
that would kind of throw a wrench in things, but I love that, and I also like the final dinner scene where everything kinda gets revealed. I also just loved how that played out too. But, like,
yeah,
the scenes that were really impactful were those scenes where everyone was just, like, sitting around talking,
yeah,
especially when he does the polygrams for everyone. That was
yeah,
really interesting and fun. Marissa, who I only know her from playing Amy Winehouse, but, like, she's I think she's in industry as well.
yeah. She's
But
an industry. Yeah,
she's really good because she gave the film a kind of levity and also, like, a relatability where it's
mm,
like, I understood, like, where she was coming from. So,
yeah,
like, her scenes and especially in the polygraph, sequences were amazing because it just, like it kind of pulled you out of it, of the, like, seriousness of what he was trying to do. Because she would just be like, she's not really taking it seriously,
yeah.
and I love it.
Like she's lost in like because she's just a person who works on satellite imagery, and of course she's young. So any person who's like you think about the idea of working in intelligence, like, oh, I'm a spy, and she's like, oh, I sit at a desk looking at satellite pictures. I want to be what y'all want to do, what y'all do, you know, the on the ground detectives kind of stuff. And so her idea of that is like enamored, like with that. It's like, oh, when you polygraph me, and almost like a kink in a way,
Mhm.
like kind of thing, you know. And he's like, "Did have you read, how to cheat polygraphs?" And she's like, "No." Like she's in love with the game of it until
Yes.
shit hits the fan. She's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like unprepared for the world of being a spy. Like, and she even acts like when I like like there's a lot of red herrings just trying to throw you off because in the beginning they talk about the promotion for Reggie's character,
Mhm.
and he's like, oh yeah, he's clean record, perfect, nothing wrong with him. Tom Burke, his alcohol stuff, horrible relationships. This young girl, oh, she does drugs and shit, so they throw the scent off him completely until the
Mhm.
end. And then you have the idea of fucking Michael Fassbender trying to find out what Kate Blanchett's character is doing because he puts two and two together, and sees her there and with meeting the other guy. But then it calls back to the initial thing of when he's talking to Clarissa. He's like, they're like, oh, you guys are the perfect couple, how do you make it work? It's like, oh, I know what she's doing and she knows what I'm doing, we keep track of each other, we both know. And that's what makes it work is if anything happens, we both know we'll drop everything else to defend each other. And you see that come to head and where they're both in bed and they're not talking. So you think they're both sussing out each other, but she goes, oh, why don't you tell me? It's like, oh, I think they're trying to play both of us against each other. Like, oh, shit, it really does work. They really do like, communicate about or keep track of each other. They're both aware of it. So I did love that as well.
Yes, that was my favorite kind of component of this movie is that they're not like I guess in the original Mr. and Mr. Smith, well, not the original one, they redid it, but
Yeah,
the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie version of it,
yeah,
where it's like They are kind of at odds for, like, a lot of the movie. It's not until, like, maybe the last, I don't know, 45 minutes, 30
Mhm.
to 45 minutes where they actually, like, get on the same page and are like, "Now we love each other,"
Yeah.
and, like, whatever. And I like that in this, it's in there from the very beginning, like, these 2 people love each other. They're writing for each other. They're killing anyone who's getting in their partner's way, and then that is the crux of the movie, like, that's the heart of the whole thing. And I think that when you cast Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender, who are just, like, very compelling people to watch, I think that when you put them together, you're already, like, rooting for them. So
Mhm.
even in my brain, when I was like, "Oh, is it Cate Blanchett?" I really didn't want it to be her because I was just like,
Mhm.
but what about your partner? What about your husband?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they were, like, sticking together no matter what. In a business where I guess it's very easy to, like, be killed, kill, turn on each other, I think that fact that they're very together and especially in contrast to the other couples where it's
Mhm.
like, "No, we're tight, we're
Yeah.
good." And she straight up kills Ray J because of it. She was like, "Nope, don't mess with my marriage." I was like, "Yes, I love it. I love that."
Yeah, and you hit it on the head of how the movie at its core is also about people in their relationships in a way, because of course I spoke about the young Tom Burke and Maria, their young old May summer kind of thing. But then you have Reggie and Naomi Harris, where she's
Mhm,
a psychiatrist and she's divulging everything, knowing that she's gonna do something because she has a guilty conscience. Like he's a spy. He's been in the field, so he knows how to play people. And knowing that she's a psychiatrist, he's gonna play her, and so she's gonna help him, and she's like, okay, job's done. I blew him off, and now I'm gonna just break up with you so I can sever myself to it. And he's like, nah, that's not how it's gonna work. Because
mm,
I know, like on behind the scenes, I know what you did, kind of thing. Which ends up being her downfall.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that
yeah, the
wasn't
thing.
good.
Yeah,
Honestly, the most unethical
yeah,
psychiatrist ever, like,
yeah,
just blabbing about everyone's business. Hilarious.
yeah.
Um, but I 2 things that I really liked. I really liked the wardrobe in this movie. I
Mm-hmm.
thought everyone looked great,
Mm-hmm.
which is, like, a part of one of these movies where it's, like, the setting of, like, spy London, like, it's giving very that, and everyone
Mm-hmm.
just looks amazing. Even, like, Michael's comical, big, thick black glasses, I thought that that was just funny because he's, like, the detective character in this. Um and I also really liked the fact that you would see things and they would come up again and have, like, more meaning. So the fact that we watch Michael, go fishing a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then that ends up being the place where he, like, dumps the body, and it's because, like, nobody else is there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he has this moment where he's, like, with Ray J in the boat, and he's, like, about to kill him, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm finding out new information, like, I guess I don't need to kill you because it's not you." Um, but then that what ends up being the place where he gets his body dumped. But you keep seeing it and you're like, "Okay, what is the significance of this, like, pond and him fishing? Like, what are we supposed to get from that?" And then it ends up being very important
Yeah.
at the end where he ends up dumping the body, so
Yeah, only the two of them know about that location. Nobody else does.
I
You
like that.
know, then you have like the issues though where she's in therapy. She's talking about how she just want to be like her mom and struggle for money, and the constant callbacks like, "Oh, we're rich, we're high up in MI6," and she's still worried about money and the
Mhm,
cost for jewelry. And throw it back to the end where she's like, "Oh, so what's gonna happen with that 6 million that nobody else knows about?"
mhm.
Just to close out the movie, like in
Love
the
it.
like she still has personal issues to work on. She's like, oh, we got 6 million and nobody knows about. you know,
Yep,
that kind of thing. So yeah.
yep. I love that. Very good writing. I just really appreciate
Yeah.
that. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah. Most other writers would have left that part out, but I love how they call back to a
yeah.
throwaway dialogue line in a therapy session and bring it
Mhm,
back at the end. Yeah.
mhm. Yep. So, honestly, this movie was great, and it's kind of sad that, like, it didn't get, like, more recognition.
Yeah.
I have one friend who, like, always watches movies, and she's, like, really into it, so she had mentioned it. But other than that, like, I haven't really heard anyone else talking about this movie that much, and I don't know what it did in the box office. I'm not
Yeah.
really sure, like, if people were really paying attention to this one,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because I feel like these movies are so they're, like, great like a nice like even balance between having like those super artistic indie films and having these big budget like blockbusters. You still need those mid-budget movies
Hmm.
that are just like a good time to go to the theater with.
Yeah,
But because of I guess the system of how it works right now, it's like very
yeah, like
if it wasn't Steven Soderbergh, I don't know if this movie gets made. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
or Cate Blanchett or Michael Fassbender,
Yeah.
those three, like the movie was made for about a budget between 50 to 60 million,
Hmm.
and it made up so far 40 million box office, which is probably going to break even at the end of its theatrical run.
Hmm.
I do think this movie probably will do well on streaming platforms though, or
Yeah.
probably it will be. I know it's on Amazon for rental. I don't know if it's on any other platform at the moment. But this is also this is one of those movies where you're looking for a movie to watch and you want to chill for like with a good movie for like an hour and 30 minutes. You
Hmm.
put this on. It's not like you're spending 2 hours where you like with a your regular James Bond movie or your other spy movie where you kind of have to stay in your seat. Like you could dedicate an hour and a half to a good movie and not have to, worry about, doing anything else. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
how much time? It doesn't give me the timer. I'm just gonna go till the timer goes. So moving on, to try gonna give a bit of spoke a while ago about the box office a while ago as far as pictures. We got a lot of stuff between that, a lot of stuff with Sinners. Of course, breaking on your top 10 so far of the past week. Plink Boy live at the Pompeii so far has only made 103 million domestic and about 2.6 billion in total for its whole theatrical run. Legend of Ochi is in its second week, has made so far about 150 million, 100, yeah, 100, 1.5 million total in domestic run, making up last week about 1.4 million. Warfare, of course, A24 on a 3 week one. So far, box office has made 21.8. The Amateur, of course, is another 3 week one. So far, has made 33 million dollars. King of Kings, of course, has made 54.5 Until Dawn, which is an adaptation of a video game, much like Last of Us. It's kind of struggling to get the ball rolling because I don't think it's a game a lot of people know. Domestically, on its opening day, it made 8 million. Globally, it's made about 20 million so far. Of course, the Minecraft movie, for almost a month in, kind of a runaway success, has made about 380 million domestically total, and about uh, eight 816 million globally. Surprise at the Minecraft movie doing that. I guess the memes drive the focus. Of course, I mentioned the Accountant too. In this, it opened up to about 25 million, but almost 40 million globally in its debut. I know we spoke last week also about the films and their longevity, and after 25 years going over Ryan Coogler's deal with Sinners, which movies tend to be culturally important that have that livelihood after a certain shelf life. Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith was re-released in theaters over the past weekend. So far, it's made 26 million with 42 million globally, which of course, with a 20-year-old project is amazing. But it's Star Wars. It's a known IP. Everybody's gonna watch it. And of course, the runaway hit so far, of course, is Sinners, making 45 million domestically last weekend, and a total of 122.5 million domestically total. Um, it only dropped between 2 weeks by 6%, which is the smallest in a second week drop from, especially for an R-rated sci-fi film, which is surprising. That means the movie's doing well. And piggybacking off the news of Sinners, like I'm gonna have to talk about Sinners. The movie's doing, amazing. I don't think it had that much marketing. It's relying on the marketing of a lot of word of mouth, which is good. It's relying on the marketing, of course, of Michael B. Jordan. It's relying on Ryan Coogler's passion for the project, which um has and like they did an interview with a lot of theater goers, and apparently 70% of moviegoers still think theaters are worth the money. Only about 7% of 6% of people would rather wait till stuff's on streaming. So the movie theater is the go-to still for a lot of these projects, regardless of the trend for Netflix, Amazon, all these streaming platforms to push their movies on a short window theatrically and then move on the streaming platform. Um, so yeah, if you want to make money still, put good projects in the theaters. And it's not just that. I'm surprised at this because on the other app, on the Musk app, you know, that no one really touches anymore. Tom Cruise tweeted about the movie, saying congratulations to Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan and that whole cast, and telling people to watch. This is must see cinema, and people to stay through the credits. Like you got Tom Cruise championing your movie. That doesn't happen a lot. Or Tom Cruise shouts out other creatives. But yeah, you got that man talking about your movie, you know you have a good movie. So yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
I love that this is becoming like um a Black Panther, a Get Out type of thing where it's like, nah, you gotta go see it. Like I really love that. Like that's what everyone's saying. And it's not just your friends, it's like major celebrities. The endorsements are pouring in. I think did Quentin Tarantino say something about that? Or maybe that was something else. Maybe
mm,
I'm misremembering that. But major directors are also giving this movie its props. It might not have been him, but it was other people.
yeah.
So I love that for Ryan Coogler and for Michael B. Jordan and for the entire cast and crew. Moving on to our next story. 60 Minutes calls out Paramount for executive producer's exit in rare on-air rebuke. So this is kind of just another example of how like the media is under attack under this administration. So all seemed normal in the first 98% of Sunday's broadcast of 60 Minutes on CBS, but the remaining 2% may have shocked viewers. In the show's last minute segment, correspondent Scott Pele told the audience of the Vulnerable News magazine that Bill Owens, the program's executive producer, opted to depart last week as Paramount Global, the parent of CBS News, tries to navigate its way to a merger and after it had placed more security on 60 Minutes editorial processes while the show investigated war in the Gaza region and how President Trump's policies affected Americans. So Paramount owns CBS and they were I what it seems like just like backseat like making their way into like the decisions that a lot of the programs were how the programs were being made and what they could talk about.
Mm,
Like no one really wants like especially 60 Minutes, which is like a very highly regarded journalistic show. You kind of need freedom to like tell certain stories that aren't really always being focused on in the news. Like that's why you have these separate shows to kind of go into that. And Paramount and sorry, and 60 Minutes is definitely at the forefront of that. And their executive left
mm,
because there were like you guys are controlling what we're able to say because Donald Trump lodged a lawsuit against them because of the Kamala Harris interview that they did during the election cycle when they were like, "Oh, you edited things out," and then things that weren't put in have been shown. Like it's on. If you go to YouTube and look it up, like it's there.
mm,
Um, it's just the Trump administration being petty and annoying as always. So everyone's like, this lawsuit can it's like totally flimsy, like it's ridiculous. But they're maneuvering around like trying to get out of that deal so that they can move somewhere else and like have the creative freedom. But like this is a huge issue. Like the fact that Trump is like scaring corporations out of like being able to just report accurately about what is going on in the world because there might be afraid of like retribution. Like, what if Trump does this or that because he's president now? Like, it's really bad. Like, you literally need freedom of press. Like, you absolutely need it in order for like a healthy democracy to thrive. Like, you just need people to be able to be like, even though what the president did is not something that we is probably like even though the president is doing things that needs to be reported on whether they're good or bad like we still have to talk about it right because like the public has a right to know information like they have a right to know what's going on in their government and the fact that the Trump administration is not only doing this to media outlets are doing this to law firms and other things where it's just like they're trying to make it so if there's any unfavorable coverage about anything that they do, it gets shut down automatically. And it's just like, this is a red flag and we need to talk about it.
Mhm.
We need to talk about that because it's truly scary.
Yeah, it's um I don't know. It's weird because of course you also had MSNBC after and NBC Universal they fired a lot of their, black uh talent. You had Rachel Maddow and Joe Scarborough, like Rachel Maddow speaking out about it against it.
Yeah.
You've had, Joe Scarborough getting told by President Trump, Sleepy Joe and stuff like this, really bemoaning the media. But also, these media entities brought it upon themselves because during his, initial campaign cycle, like, regardless of, how toxic and negative he was and how wrong he was with his stuff, they enjoyed the media circus around Trump because you had people who were fervent MAGA people who were wanted to watch anything he said, and then you had people who also would watch because to be informed adult you have to watch the news who were disgusted. And they wanted to be aware of what's happening and the damage he was doing. So you had people on both sides watching, and they just saw dollar signs and they kept putting more Trump content on, putting more Trump content on, and to the point of, I don't know if anybody remembers initially when Trump ran the first time against Hillary, you know, behind the scenes, if he was setting up the idea of his own media company, he was himself at the time was expecting to lose. But
Mm.
knowing the acknowledging the media coverage, piggybacking off his time with The Apprentice, and the money it reinvented it, put him back in the culture zeitgeist. Trump, The Apprentice, TV. He was planning on banking that to make a media empire. And had Hillary ran a proper campaign and won, we wouldn't be talking about Donald Trump right now at all. And probably the media, had they not been, so focused on ad revenue by people watching, they wouldn't be in this situation either. So, and part of this is weird because, this is 60 Minutes. This is what it's known for: hard hitting interviews, investigative journalism. And this whole merger thing with Skydance Media was in the works from before, you know, all of this going on. So I don't know
Mm.
why the impetus of that Trump lawsuit is, why they're trying to like backpedal and stuff now and say this might affect our merger when they had already agreed to merge earlier before the election. So of like they agreed to merge like what? I think mid July 7th of last year they agreed to merge. So why is this, now becoming why is this now an issue? I don't know. So it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Mm.
So continuing our news, so Jesse Plemons is the latest to join the cast of the latest Hunger Game series adaptation. The I don't know what number book this is in Hunger Game franchise, but it's Sunrise on the Reaping. Jesse Plemons will be playing a games maker by the name of Plutarch Heavensby. Um, he's also a future rebellion leader. Of course, Jesse Plemons, wonderful character actor, of course, for playing Philip Seymour Hoffman. He showed up in oh no, not known for playing Seymour Hoffman, but he's taking on this role that was initially played by Philip Seymour Hoffman in Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part One and Two. And the film features him playing a young version of this character in District 12. It's supposed to be set, I guess, 25 or 24 years before the events of the Hunger Games, like with Katniss and all them. Um, and I guess it's set around the 15th and known as a quarter quell. The movie's supposed to come out November 20th, 2026. Of course, Francis Lawrence will direct from a screenplay that was adapted by Billy Ray. The film also so far has Joseph Zada as Haymitch Abernathy, that was previously played by Woody Harrelson, Whitney Peak as Lenore, Dove Bard, and McKenna Grace as Maysile Donner. So yeah, I mean, I'm I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. It's not about the Hunger Games as a franchise. It's more so the fact that looking at like how all this quote unquote revolutionary or um what's what I'm looking for? Revolutionary will work. Um Art and cinema for the most part, like Hunger Games, has for the most part been marketed solely as young adult fiction for the most part. Or you have, of course, mentioned Star Wars before, or Indiana Jones. All these projects exist, but people only take them at face value and don't learn the lessons from these projects, which is why we're in the predicament we're in. So I don't know. I'm happy for Susan Collins, her book got picked up again. Another book got picked up to continue this franchise. So it is
What's
what it
crazy
is.
about this book is that like it just got released. It released last month and they're already starting production on this movie. And when my friend told me about this, I was like, what do you mean the book just came out and they're already doing a movie? But apparently, I think Suzanne Collins had been working with Francis Lawrence anyways, so I guess he probably had him and the writer probably had the scripts together, had the plot points because she probably let them know what was going on. They probably had an advanced copy of the book or whatever. So I guess they just had the script ready and just started casting. Because usually, like when a book comes out, you have to wait a little bit before you can like pick up the rights and like start making a movie. But because this is a prequel of a franchise that already has another prequel from another one of her books, I guess it was just easier to get it all done
Yeah.
quickly. Um, But I am loving the Hunger Game resurgence that we're having recently. I think that's fun. I didn't watch the Songbirds and Snakes because I don't like musicals really, but I heard it was fine. So
Mm,
like I hope this is good. I don't think there's gonna be any music in it. So um it should be good. And also what I love about the Hunger Games especially is that they are I guess kind of like in the same vein as Harry Potter, where you get like all of these really amazing actors to come be a part of the franchise. Um, Adding Jesse Plemons into it is really exciting, and like him playing a younger Philip Seymour Hoffman is like really good. I was like, yeah, I can see what you guys were doing there. Even though Philip Seymour Hoffman has a son who acts, so maybe he just wasn't old enough to fulfill the role. But like he does have a son who acts. I think his son was in Licorice Pizza, if I'm not
mm,
mistaken. So like the fact that they didn't cast him to be a younger version of his dad is actually hilarious. But maybe he just wasn't old enough. I don't know. But I do like the Jesse Plemons edition. And the fact that like the Hunger Games was like so good in terms of like the content, in terms of like what they're talking about. And I think it was executed really well and has held up. I think if you go back and watch it now, like those movies are pretty salient to what's going on right now. But I
mm,
think because it was targeted to a younger audience, people weren't gonna take it seriously as like a movie about revolution or about our governments failing us in classism and all other stuff. Like I think people were much more receptive to movies like Pearl Harbor and Apocalypse Now when it came to talking about like the perils of war and like why we shouldn't be doing stuff like this. But when it comes to movies that are made for a younger audience and maybe in their heads a more female audience, most
mm.
people are just like, oh, it's just a movie for kids.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay attention to it. But like, if you know, you know, like if you watch the movies and if you read the books, like this is pretty hard hitting, like very important stuff. So I don't know, but I listen, if it's good enough for the girls, like they made the movies pop off in the first place. So I feel like keep it going. I don't
Yeah.
know what this book is going to talk about, but
Yeah.
keep it going.
Yeah. See, like what you said, like this, I think the book came out in March and only sold 100, not 100. It came out in March and it sold, I think, 1 million in its first week.
Mm,
So yeah, like this movie, like the book just got released and like, hey, here's the script, so it is, what it is.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what we've been watching. Deal?
So you know me, I've professed my love of like old Hollywood a lot, thanks to my mom. But this last weekend was of course the TMC festival, which is a Turner Classic Movie Festival, which highlights a lot of these other projects that have come out in the past and honor them and stuff like that. But so given I don't know. Given everything that's going on, I'm just gonna gesture wildly to like everything. I just watched The Great Dictator from Charlie Chaplin. Um, this and like finding out about more about this movie is amazing because of course I think this movie he started the making the movie he started the story in like 1938, between 1938 and 1939, and the filming for this movie began this September, 6 days after World War II started officially.
Mm, mm,
And he finished filming 6 months after. So that is like amazing. Um, it's also one of his highest earning films of all time, and I think is most culturally impactful. Of course, the comedy is of its era, it doesn't stand the test of time, but the message behind it, particularly his final speech at the end, even watching it beyond like other scenes, I saw one scene that really spoke out to me, where of course, they have of course the Jews in the ghetto, and Hannah, um apparently his the character's love interest, I guess, um, says something to the effect of, she wished the stormtroopers just leave them alone so they can get back to living their lives that they used to, which is really impactful if you think of how ICE is now just grabbing kid people, wherever they are. I think they reportedly took like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old somewhere the other day. Like that's like ridiculous. Um, but yeah, it's very the message, the core message beyond the comedy, the message is very poignant. Even though Charlie Chaplin himself said, had he known, um, how gruesome and the horrors were the true extent of, the Nazi creation camps at the time, he might not have made the film, or
mm,
and probably most likely had he known, this film would have been a lot more serious because it still takes a very lighthearted approach at a serious subject.
mm,
But yeah, still comedy. Uh, outside of that, still very especially the last speech, the final impacted final speech, still very culturally impactful, no
mm.
matter what. So yeah.
Okay, I was wondering what I kept seeing, like, when I'd watch documentaries about movies where it would be Charlie Chaplin in a little Hitler mustache. I was wondering where
Hmm.
that came from.
Yeah.
Came from that film. At first, I thought you said you were watching a TMZ festival, and I was
Oh no.
like, and the fact that TMZ, I think, does make documentaries now. So I did think that's what you were talking about at first, and then you were like, "No, it's old movies, TMC." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah.
That's so funny. I was like, "You were watching a TMZ," but I
Oh,
find that hard to believe. Yeah.
never that. Never that. Never that.
Um, but that's really interesting. And also that reminds me that I do wanna watch, Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah.
It's been something that I've been meaning to watch for years, and I actually just need to do it. My mental health has been in the garbage recently, so I'm just, like, watching, like, the same things over and over again because it's just comforting to me. I
Hmm.
haven't actually watched anything new, really, so I need to, now that things are starting to kind of even kill out, I need to get back into my, like, movie bag. But yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with having a comfort movie that you can go to when you need to. Like
Yeah.
for the last couple years, my comfort movie has been Soul. Which when I
Oh,
told
that's good.
when I told somebody that was my comfort movie, and they're like, "Oh, that's because you're black," and I was like, "How? Why was it because I'm black?" Like,
Ooh.
So I had to have a long discussion with them about that. It's like, so, but I was like, yeah, Soul now is like my comfort movie. Like I'll put on like the soundtrack, um,
Mhm.
and everything when I'm like just vibing in my room. So yeah, so
Yeah. I've listened to more music now than I have been watching stuff just because I find if I watch stuff, it's gonna, just somehow correlate to what's going on right now, and I just don't wanna think about it, but, like, yeah, I just watched Pride and Prejudice again because that is my comfort movie. Pride and Prejudice, Little Women, like, that's the stuff that,
yeah,
like, it's like holding, like, a very fluffy bear. It just
yeah,
makes you feel like, "Okay, everything's gonna be fine."
yeah, yeah.
Ah, but, so yeah, I haven't really been watching anything new, but, I been, like, watching through other creators, The Good Place.
Really?
Yeah, wasn't interested in watching it when it came on. I think it's over now,
That's been over for
right?
like
Yeah,
years.
okay. I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
I think it's ended, right?
yeah.
Yes, it's over now. But they're watching it, so I'm watching it kind of vicariously through them. And it's interesting. I really like what's his name? His name William
Oh
is
yeah,
his name
yeah,
William
yeah, yeah.
Henry
Well, yeah, William. Yeah,
something. I
yeah.
really like him. I think he's great. I don't know about him like well this is like the first few episodes of the first season, so I don't know where the character's gonna go.
Mm.
But right now, it's like, do I like the visuals of this black man trying to do his best to help this white woman be a better person? I don't know.
Oof,
But
oof.
I'm not really sure how I feel about
I
that.
don't want
But,
to.
but yeah, if it turns around and gets better, then it's fine. I'm like I said, it's the very first episode, so I'm not far enough in.
So you're watching it through other people vicariously, basically.
Yes.
You're doing what I used to with Game of Thrones. Um, I don't
Is that how
know.
you used to watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, vicariously with other people, like social media.
Like,
That was my thing. Like,
oh no, like they're watching it, like they're react
oh,
channels.
the reaction. Okay.
So you're seeing the
Oh, okay.
actual episode. Yeah,
I
I'm not like that on social media.
oh, but I think because like Good Place is one of my favorite shows of TV history.
Oh, okay.
Like one of my favorite shows. If you're concerned about the optics of a black man trying to help a white woman, you might side eye as the show progresses.
Oh, okay. It's gonna go that way.
They're not gonna go that way. But I'm just giving you a word of caution. But yeah, I suggest you should watch it outside of the reactors. Still, it's an amazing show. Like it's one of those properties that does stand the test of time. You know. So yeah.
That's good. The issue is that like now I have ads for everything, so I don't know. Maybe.
Gotta put an ad blocker on your browser.
No, I did have one, and then they took it off.
That's why I switched browsers. Mine still works.
I said, "Oh, is that how we're doing things?" Interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know that we were. I didn't know that we were at that. The fact that these streamers all have ads now really pisses me off. Like because I can't like watch what I want to watch in one go. I have to deal with these ridiculous ads. And it's very frustrating to me. And it's like, oh, if you want ad free, pay a little bit extra, as if we're not already giving you guys enough money, and you're also raising your prices literally every year. So, I hate the model that they have. It frustrates me to no end. I'm sure it frustrates lots of people, but maybe they just have ad blockers, so they don't care. But especially on YouTube, you can't use ad blockers. So
I got you.
if you have some tea, let me know, because the way that YouTube was like, you literally have one more video to watch ad free, or we're shutting this whole thing down. I'm like, okay, God.
You know me. I always have my power hand on. We'll talk about this later. I don't want to incriminate.
Yeah,
I don't want to incriminate myself.
This has nothing to do with the podcast, and we're gonna wrap up now. We're done. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you're all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Please check out all of our social media. Support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Au revoir.